If you have been watching the mainstream media, you have no idea that right now the United States and its allies are involved in a proxy war against Russia and its allies as we speak. And breaking news yesterday has created an extreme escalation to this conflict that could lead to a potential world war between these two major superpowers. But if you've been watching the mainstream media, you probably know about, Piggy, Fuzzy, Big Bird movie moving together. There's Target in hot water over holidays and all this other nonsense that doesn't give a damn. Just yesterday, it was reported that Israel has sent its aircraft and bombed Bashar al-Assad troops in Syria that are working together with Russia to destroy the rebels and ISIS. Israel has been doing this before. Many people are saying that they have been acting as the Air Force for ISIS because every time ISIS is in a very particular situation, Israel comes along and bombs the troops that are fighting them and bombs Assad's forces in Syria. And Syrian government forces are attacked by Israeli jets. Now, this conflict with Russia getting involved is extremely dangerous because previously before, just a few days ago, Russian aircraft have confronted Israeli aircraft over the Syria-Lebanon border, telling and warning the Israelis not to get involved in this conflict, not to bomb the forces that the Russians are now aligned in. Just yesterday, Israeli warplanes broke through that blockade and they have bombed a Syrian government target in the region, again assisting any rebel or ISIS group that wants to take out the government in that region. Now, why? Obviously, this is dangerous because Putin is there to make sure that Assad is in power, and he's bombing any rebel group, including ISIS, in the region because obviously it's his national interest to keep Assad in power since it's his major ally in the Middle East. Israel helping out ISIS because they want to get rid of Bashar al-Assad. He is one of their main enemies in the region, and if Assad and the Syrian government falls, Israel probably could lay claim to the Golan Heights disputed area that borders the two countries. And also Israel and the United States is strong allies together, and as we know from previous before, it was NATO and also the Turkish High Command since 2011 that has been sending heavy weapons, including anti-tank, anti-air rockets, mortars, and heavy machine guns into large rebel groups in Syria since 2011. These groups are now, of course, controlled by ISIS. As we see here plainly demonstrated, the United States, who has funded, who has supported, who have given intelligence to, who have trained all the rebel groups that are fighting alongside or with or are ISIS, are using this as a pretext to get rid of someone who doesn't play ball with U.S. geopolitics, and that's exactly what has been happening here. Putin is aware of this, and he even recently sent a message to the Turkish ambassador telling the Turkish government that the dictator president could go to hell along with his ISIS terrorists because Putin knows that Turkey has been a very big supporter of ISIS in the region, keeping the border open and also sending in heavy weapons into the region to fight against Assad. And all those weapons have been going to mainly ISIS in Syria. Putin has told the Turkish government to stop doing this or they will cut out all diplomatic communications between the two countries. So it's not only Israel, it's also Turkey that the tensions are escalating on. Our U.S. allies are putting pressure on Putin because he has been effective at destroying the rebels and ISIS in this specific region. Obviously, NATO has been sounding the alarms against Russia, and they are saying with Russia building up their capabilities, it is making it extremely difficult for the U.S. to maneuver around the Middle East. Putin, in a recent interview, has responded by saying his military budget is $50 billion, and they slightly increased it. The military budget of the Pentagon is almost 10 times that amount. In this interview, he also talks about how NATO is creating bases encircling Russia, how they are sending nuclear weapons and missiles and devices and shields all around Russia. And he says only within the last 3 years he decided not to take this aggression from the West and to make a stand because he wants to protect his national interest. Obviously, Putin is another side of the coin. He is also battling for his own interests, and he in no way, shape, or form is the better or the answer to this global conflict, which is escalating out of control because it is just two superpowers going up against each other. The rhetoric against Putin in the United States has been extremely high. John McCain has previously said that Putin will end up like Gaddafi, that the U.S. must send anti-aircraft missiles to the rebels, to the FSA, which we know fight alongside with ISIS or in alliance with ISIS to take down Russian aircraft in Syria. Putin, in this very eloquent talk, also on another media organization, had to say this about John McCain.
In jail, but in a pit. He sat man and was put not just in jail, but in a pit. He sat there for several years. Anyone would go nuts after that.
Obviously, he's talking about how John McCain was tortured in Vietnam, and Putin just ultimately thinks he's nuts and crazy, and how he's escalating the tensions between these two major super countries who are right now involved in a proxy war. Obviously, with these escalations going out of hand, Vladimir Putin is actually not going to the World Leader Summit at AIPAC in Manila, Philippines. He is missing that very important world leadership event, cutting off communication with the international community in a clear sign that things are getting out of hand in many ways. Many people are speculating if Putin will even bomb ISIS terrorists in Egypt for taking down their Russian civilian aircraft, killing a large number of their civilians, and no one yet knows to that answer. Russia has not yet answered back against these Israeli strikes against Assad forces, which Putin wants to protect and keep in charge, but we can only imagine how bad it could get. But don't worry, watch the mainstream media and talk about the Muppets or freaking selfie of the... Oh! I want to thank all the people who are supporting real independent media, because without you, we wouldn't be here. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Plug away. Front page, CNN News. This is front page. You type in CNN.com. Muppets, Target, sweater, hot water, selfies. My Lord, please get away from this garbage. Subscribe to real independent media. God, there's a war. There's a proxy war going on. And they're talking about the Muppets. This is their... Twice. God save us.